Sweet. So my first question for you is, why are you here? And there are a few components to that. Sort of, A, why are you a principal? B, why did you come back to being a principal from being in central office? And then why Blair? Why is this the school of your return?
Great questions, all of them. So why am I here? Not like from an existentialist kind of Camus standpoint. All right. So why am I a principal? Very, very fascinating. Circuitous routes, the principalship, right? I actually wanted to be a physical therapist or a sports trainer. Couldn't pass organic chemistry in high school, in college at the University of Maryland. So that made me a history major very quickly, which is really my passion, and didn't really want to grow up, so I became a history teacher. And after many years of teaching overseas, Dominican Republic, in Austria, I realized that I looked around at the leaders above me and I thought, I think I can do this and maybe do it a little bit better. So just found my way to the principalship. I think like what drove me there is the same joy that teachers get out of teaching kids and seeing kids grow and seeing them realize their potential and coaching them through that process. I've enjoyed that most about working with assistant principals and teachers and staff. Like I think ultimately it's not really like what you build as a principal, it's kind of who you help build for themselves. So that's kind of how I found myself, my way to the principalship. Why, beyond that though, like I had an incredible high school experience, right? Like I loved everything about high school. I played football, baseball, was an SGA, president of the science fiction book club, I had a lot of good friends. I had a really, really good environment. I grew up in Columbia, Maryland, in Howard County, really diverse school system at the time, and just loved high school. And I've always wanted all kids to love high school. I wanted all kids to have the same experience, really, that I had. In terms of so I left Richard Montgomery in 2021 after being principal for 7 years because I was encouraged to be a district leader. When you kind of get that nudge, you explore those opportunities. The last 4 years have been interesting, to say the least, as central office with a lot of volatility, but I learned a lot. So I had been flirting with the idea of coming back to the principalship, and last year thought about it a little bit when Blair was open and Miss Johnson had retired, stuck around, and this year with the reorganization, they took the office that I was in charge of and merged it with special education. And I don't really have a lot of expertise in special education. Decided Blair is still open, can't say no. It's like, you know, playing for the New York Yankees of high schools in Montgomery County. So had to jump back in. Why Blair? There were other possibilities. Again, I would say RM, Blair, arguably the two pillars of Montgomery County, two of the oldest schools in the state. I mean, this is an incredibly diverse community, a beautifully diverse community, and the reputation of the academic programs and all the kids in this building speak for themselves. Real professional staff. I was able to visit the school last year in my other capacity and saw like what was happening, spoke to some teachers and some leaders, and that was very, very easy decision. So I'm just thrilled to be here. And honestly, it's like finding my passion again, finding my really like my reason for being as a professional. Like I'm having so much fun. Every day I wake up on a Monday morning and I'm psyched to be here. So just thrilled to be back in the saddle.
That's amazing. Yeah. And then who are you? Like what do you like to do when you're not being a principal? Hobbies, interests, and then also is there anything that you want students to know about you?
Yeah, like what I would say, what do I like to do? I'm a dad, right? I have a son who is a rising senior at Rockville. I have a son who's a rising junior, the Honors College at Towson. So I'm all about my kids. That's my priority. It's like supporting my sons and being with them and attending their events and encouraging them. But I love football. I have a fantasy football draft coming up, right? I love baseball. I love to read. I love history, politics, subscriptions to the Post, the Times, the Atlantic. I'm constantly absorbing things. I love to travel. When I lived and taught in Vienna, Austria, I hit just about every country in continental Europe, went as far east as Turkey, through the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Slovenia, and just had an incredible time in all the typical countries, France, Italy, Spain. But living in the Dominican Republic opened my eyes to other parts of the world. So I love to travel. I love to snowboard. I love to longboard. I know Mr. Yates used to ride his bike around campus. You may see me on a longboard out in the parking lot. So yeah, I feel it's funny, right? Like, where have I felt like most free? It is probably on a snowboard in the Alps or out west, right, in the Rockies. I love snowboarding. It's probably, if I could do anything, if I had like millions of dollars, I would have a home at the beach. I would have a home somewhere in the mountains, and I would hang out at the beach, or I would hang out snowboarding. So that's probably where you would find me. But yeah, I mean, I still am close with all my friends in high school. I see them all the time. I'm really tight with my family. My mother lives in Howard County. My father lives in Baltimore County. So I'm spending time with my friends. What about me would kids be interested in? I still think I am 18 in my heart. That's what I'd like you to know. So I still walk around like I'm as young as you guys, even though I know I am not. And you're going to see me at at all your events, and just know that in my heart, I'm here really for you guys, man, and that's the number one thing. And I want you guys to have the best experience possible. At the end of the day, like, what are we here for? Like, what is the purpose, right? The purpose is to create the conditions that you guys can be successful after you get out of high school. And it doesn't matter what that is, right? It doesn't matter if that's a four-year university, if it's the Ivies, if it's MC, if it's the military, if it's the world of work, if you're pursuing something in the entrepreneurial world. Our job is to help you find your passion and give you the skills necessary so that you can be successful in that world. And that's really what I'm interested in.
A bit of a follow-up, we probably won't put this in the video, but just because I'm kind of curious, what was your experience like in Vienna and the Dominican Republic?
Well, you can put this in the video. Great question. All right, so so hopefully you can put this in. So I lived in Vienna. I taught in a town called Baden. I woke up every day and got on the train. This is pre cell phones and stuff. So I would walk around with a Discman with all my music in there. Back then in the late 90s, it was like Fatboy Slim, the Beastie Boys, Tribe Called Quest, The Cure was probably what was in that Walkman at the time. Red Hot Chili Peppers, Rage Against the Machine. Anyway, so I would be going through the subways and the trains of Vienna out to Baden. I was the English, I was like the native English speaker in a Bundesgymnasium, which was a college preparatory high school. In Europe, at 14, you take an exam, and then based on that exam, you are in a college preparatory school or you're in a vocational high school. So when the English department would have lessons on anything, it could be life in America, it could have been the kids were reading Dickens, they were reading Hemingway, they were reading Orwell, same stuff, some of the stuff that you guys read. I would be called in to develop like a conversational lesson and get them talking. And it was actually funny, this is 1998, some of the questions I remember getting from them, they were like, do all Americans have big cars, right? Do all Americans like rock and roll? Do all Americans carry guns? And this is 1998. So it was interesting about the stereotypes back then. But that was that, and again, they have trains in Vienna. You can literally take a train from Vienna to the Alps and be snowboarding like that same afternoon. So that was one of the reasons that I wanted to go there. I also had an Austrian girlfriend at the time, which drew me over there. But I traveled all over the place while I was there and saw a lot of Eastern Europe as well. In the Dominican Republic, I drove a Yamaha DT250, a 1987 Yamaha DT250. That was my mode of transport. Drove that motorcycle all over the island. And this was a place where I could finish school at 3:30 on a Friday afternoon in Santo Domingo, and I could be at a beach within 30 minutes, right, after school. So I met a lot of cool teachers. Had I not fallen in love at the time and met my now ex-wife, I probably would have just kept teaching and gone around the international circuit. But that was phenomenal. And it was really also very cool to be the other in a community, right? Like, I was the white guy and nobody else was white. I spoke English in the streets, but everybody else is speaking Spanish. And to have to learn some Spanish and to have to be able to really acclimate to a different culture was a lifelong experience, and I think it's broadened my perspective for some of the experiences that our students have here at Montgomery Blair.
It's really interesting. That's a really cool life.
Yeah, let me tell you, if you can ever like find a job where you can travel the world and get paid, that's a good job to have.
And then my final question is, what do you view the role of the principalship as being, sort of, especially now in our current world? And then also, how has that changed? How has that stayed the same? And what do you intend to do with that?
That's a fantastic question, right? So they don't really teach you in principal school how to deal with the environment that we've been in really since probably about 2016. My first time as a principal, we dealt with Parkland. We dealt with the student walkouts, the protests for gun control. We dealt with the student walkouts and protests when President Trump, when Trump got elected the first time. And that was eye-opening, and some of the divisions that occurred within the school and the school system at that time. I mean, I spoke a little bit about the real role of the principalship, is to create the conditions for success for students and staff. And I'll tell you how I approach that. And I'm going to come back to what this means, but it's really pretty basic. It's team, environment, instruction. Are the adults functioning as a team? Are they collaborating? Are they cohesive? Are they happy to be here? Are they creating a wonderful environment? What's that environment look like? It's got to be equitable in that students have to feel safe, valued, welcomed, seen, respected, but so do the adults. Once we have that environment, then that high quality first instruction that meets the needs of all of our students. The days are gone when we can just stand behind a lectern and spit things out and point to a PowerPoint and expect kids to soak it in. Because what has always been apparent, it's hard to be a teenager. It was hard to be a teenager when I was a teenager. We didn't have these things, all right, that bring with them all kinds of complexities and a lot of innovation as well. But we have to understand that our kids are coming in this building perceiving everything that's happening out there around them. They are seeing what's happening on the news, social media, TikTok. They're seeing the headlines. They see what our elected leaders say about them and about their environments and about their community. This is serious, but I know that we have kids whose families may be afraid to go to work. We have kids who may be afraid to come to school. We have a lot of uncertainty and fear, and it's our job to make sure that when the kids walk in this building, that this is a sanctuary. So we can do no harm here, first and foremost. We have to acknowledge what's happening out there. We have to mitigate it when it comes into our doors and ensure that students know that this place is safe, right? That we want this place to be free of microaggressions. We want this place to be safe and free of any type of hostility, of bias, of prejudice, and certainly of physical safety. But here's the thing. We can talk a lot about equity. We can protest. We can walk out. I was here the last day of school, by the way, when FAIR had that incredible walk-in, whatever you want to call it, right, in support of the community that is supporting immigration and the student who unfortunately was deported. We've got to do that stuff. But ultimately, and I said this to the staff, I think that as educators, we fight injustice best when we equip you all, the students, with the skills and the complex thinking skills, the problem-solving skills, right, that are necessary to not only live in the 21st century, but thrive and lead it, right? We need you all to have the skills to be able to help change what is happening. When we get to the midpoint of this century in 2050, you all are going to be running the place. I hope I'm still around, right? Yeah. You all are going to be running the place. So it's our job to ensure that we are creating citizens that can have an impact on our larger society.
Great. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I'm a Star Wars fan. I love Marvel. I am all about it. Come up. I mean, listen. If you're into skateboarding, snowboarding, anything Marvel, anything Star Wars, football, baseball, college basketball, Maryland Terps, Baltimore Ravens, Baltimore Orioles, come chat me up in the hallway, man. But I'm really just happy to be here, and I really just want to build a relationship with you all and do the best I can to support you.
Thank you. We're happy to have you. All right, that's it.